Ladies and gentlemen, we are all people who are very proud of our culture and tradition, aren't we? But at the same time, we have also been going through a series of cultural transformation. Indeed, the entire mankind have always been going through a series of cultural transformation right from origin. While it is quite easy for an organization to shift its culture, citing various reasons such as growth, it is not quite so for a society. For a person, as an individual, they are always resistant to changes. But there are certain changes that very easily seeps through the walls of our house and reaches us unknowingly, and we too embrace them happily. And one such change that I have observed that we have adopted over the last century is the usage of sitting toilet, or what we Indians funnily call as the Western toilet. We Indians and most of Asians are used to using squat toilets for centuries. But just imagine how many newly erected constructions today, be it residential or commercial, are being fixed with squat toilets? Rarely. Unless it's explicitly mentioned, toilet refers to sitting or the Western toilet. I could still recall how I struggled to use these sitting toilet when it was newly introduced in my part of the world. One of my friends have narrated how he struggled to squat on a sitting toilet, balancing on his feet and eventually breaking the seat. There has always been a constant debate about which of these postures, sitting or squatting, is indeed good for human being. While there are pros and cons on both the sides, one cannot deny the fact about the goodness it has brought to us. It has helped numerous people who struggle to squat, pregnant women, sick and old people. Today, you have the option to choose whether you want to sit or whether you want to squat, and that is the boundary line. You have the option to choose. You decide on your cultural adaptation and your cultural transformation. On the other side, there are a bunch of people who go overboard and try to impose their culture on us, which is called cultural imposition. Many years ago, once I graduated from college and entered the corporate world, I went to a star hotel for an official event. Once the event was over, I had a sumptuous meal with my friends, and once the meal was over, I walked to a nearby restroom to wash my hand. At that time, I saw a colleague of mine with whom I've never spoken before walk out of a cubicle with a book in one hand and a half-filled water bottle in the other hand. Geez, I wondered what he was doing in there. I thought he might have brought with him a packet of popcorn as well. But then, time taught me a lesson. It wasn't long before I had to go search for a water bottle for myself. The cubicles were not equipped with water facilities. The administration were trying to maintain the Western standard of dry toilets. Well, I can't blame them much either. We Indians are so fond of using the water that at times we let the water flow out of the cubicle. But the fact is, the administration did not take into consideration about the 99.9%, if not 100% of the Indians who use water for their toilet tasks. All it was there was a roll of tissue paper. You use it or you don't use it. And this is what I call the cultural imposition, making you and I do things in a way that someone else wants us to do. Ladies and gentlemen, nations across the globe are divided based on the language that they speak. And in India, states are divided based on the language that we speak. And there are regions within the district which speaks a certain dialect and follow a certain culture. The battle to prove which culture is better has always been there. We all believe that the language that we speak is the key to our culture. A few months back, while I was having a cup of tea in a tea shop, there was a man standing next to me also having a cup of tea. At that time, a very old woman was walking by and asking him for alms. The man placed his hand inside his pocket and grabbed a 10 rupees note. But before he gave her, he said, "Can you repeat what you said?" And the woman asked back again. And then he said, If you can't even ask for alms in the language that we speak, why are you here? Go back to your place and ask your people for help. And he placed that money back into the pocket. That moment triggered a lot of thought in my mind. What use is culture to us if it stands as a barrier even for us to express our sympathy and empathy? What use is culture to us if we think we are more superior than the others? And what use is it this if we are so hostile to people? Many times I have thought, what if there were no languages in this world? Perhaps man would have discovered various different forms of sign languages, form a group, and fight against one another to prove which sign language is better than the other. The best of those cultures is the one which is able to evolve and adapt to changes for the betterment of mankind. The one which treats everyone equal, and the one which is able to accept people, regardless of what faith they practice, what language they speak, how, or what toilet cubicle they use. Thank you. Back to you, Toastmaster of the Day.